Yes.
Fine. So yesterday we talked about profiles, permission sets, sharing settings, OWDs, sharing rules. Any questions, doubts that we have from there before we can start talking about the customization of user interface? Do we have any questions or doubts? No, we are good. Excellent.
Yes.
Yeah, Jeet,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, Jeet, quickly, we were talking about view all and modify all, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we are actually giving that mm, access or permission in the profiles, right?
Mm-hmm.
Am I right,
Yeah, you are
Jeet?
correct. Yes.
Okay, so yesterday we were speaking about a case where, as in like, one person is a reporting analyst.
Mm.
So he falls under a profile. So once we give that view all,
He does not fall
or
under profile. A reporting analyst will also have a profile, right? Everyone, like
yeah,
every user, he is also a user and he will also have a profile. Yes.
yeah, he will also have a profile, but that profile will be assigned to a group of people. Am I right?
Absolutely correct.
Okay, so so maybe the group of people will be more or less like analysts only.
Okay.
Uh, so here we are not speaking about an individual person as a reporting analyst. Can be more than one person, right?
Yes, can be.
Okay, okay, all right, all right.
Okay. So was that the question that can we have multiple reporting analysts in the company?
Not exactly. I was just wondering. Yesterday we were actually speaking about only one person there in that case. Uh, so my doubt was like when we give view all permission to that profile, uh, you know, view all to that profile, like the access to the set of objects where we are giving the viewer profile would be applicable to all the people who comes under that profile.
Hmm, correct.
Okay, okay, all right.
So what is the solution to that?
Uh,
You were asking a question, now
Permission.
I am asking you the question. What is the solution to that?
Okay, we can have the permission set.
That's it. Yes, correct.
Okay, okay, all right.
So I think by the time you were asking the question, you realize that you got the answer, right?
Yeah, yeah, true.
Okay, fine. All right. Today we will start talking about customization of user interface. Customization of user interface, is a big thing, which includes customizing user interface uh, with the help of drag and drop options and with the help of coding. But coding part is something that we will do a little later, maybe after 3, 4 more sessions. We get into coding, but not right now. Right now, we are just going to talk about drag and drop option for the customization of UI. It's called page layouts. Okay. Whatever objects we see, everything has a page layout. Okay, and now what this page layout defines, it defines what all fields are being displayed, which field is displayed where, at the top or at the bottom, or what exactly. Okay. uh, I just need one of you to share your login ID password with me so that I can use the account. Whose login I use generally? Manjit, do I use your account for demonstration?
Yeah, I'm sure, Ajit.
Yep, please share it. Okay. So whatever objects we have, the standard or the custom objects, everything has a page layout associated to it. Okay, and what does the page layout allow us to do? It allows us to control the positioning of the fields, which all fields should be visible on the page and everything. All right, just give me a minute. Let's go to any of the objects. So let me just go to the account object. So here is the account object, right? Now you will see that there are certain fields, the account owner, name, parent account, number, site, this side there are fields, right? So page layout is basically capable of controlling this. If I want the website on the top, I can bring it. If I want the phone number to be at the bottom, I can do that. If I want fax on top of the phone number, I can do that. If I want the type to be on the side, fine, I can do that thing. Now you might be thinking, why do I need to do this? Because see, your object can have a lot of fields, all right, but your end user might want to see a few important fields on the top, okay, or a few fields in a certain pattern or in a certain sequence. So in case that is required, then we need to go ahead and make the changes using the page layout. All right, where do you see the page layout? Every object, as I told you, every standard as well as custom object has a page layout. Let me just go to a custom object also and see the page layout. See, if you go to the consultant object, there's something which is a custom object. It has been created. See, all the fields have come on the left hand side by default. So when you use a custom object, by default all the fields come towards the left hand side. If you want to just sort it out and put them on both the columns, then you just need to go ahead and do it with the page layout. So let's do it for this consultant object. Go to setup, um, and then go to create objects. Go to the consultant object. On the object, if you scroll down a little further, you will get to see the page layout. Here it is. Click on edit. This is the page layout editor. This is where you can edit the page layout. See, all the fields are on the left hand side. If I want some fields on the right hand side, I can do that. Like the phone number, fax number, office phone number, phone, fax, mobile. Okay. Let me this way, and email ID. Okay. So this ways we can actually go ahead and change the page layout of the object. Finally, once you're done with the changes, you need to click on save. The save button is here. Just go ahead and click on the save button. Your page layout will get saved. Okay, now if I go to consultants, click on new. See, these fields are here and these fields are here. All right. So this way you can actually control the positioning of the fields. A few more things that we can do with the page layout. So what do we define on a page layout? What all fields should be visible? Okay, so you have the option of defining which all fields should be visible on the page layout. Let's say if you don't want to show the email field on the page layout, you can remove it from the page layout. So again, let's go to the page layout option, setup, create objects, consultant object. Okay, If you don't want to see a certain field on the page layout, you have the option of going to that field, and you see there is a remove button here, small icon, remove. You can click on this field will get removed from the page layout. All right. So you can control which all fields should be visible on the page layout. Positioning of the fields can be done, that I just showed you. You can make fields required on the page layout. Okay. So some fields can be made required also. If you want that mobile number should be a required field, you can just go to that field and then go and click on the settings icon, range icon you see, it's properties. Click on this and you can make the field required. Okay. So this will make this field a mandatory field. All right. So we are able. Can you have the microphones unmute, please? Thank you. Thank you. All right. So this field is now required. Okay. We have created the field. Sorry, we have the option of controlling which all fields should be visible on the page layout. We have the option of making certain fields required. We have the option of removing a few fields, and we also have the option of changing the position of the field. Which one is on the top, which one is at the bottom, which one is on the left side, on the right side. That is all right. Okay, so that's about fields. What else can we do with the page layout? In the page layout, we can set the position of. We can also control what all related lists to be displayed. Okay, so we can control what all related lists to be displayed on the page layout. That thing can be done. Are you guys getting my voice clear? Is it okay? I just got a message that it's not that clear or something. Is the voice okay?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right. Just give me 1 minute. Hello. Yep. Right. Okay. So page layout, the other thing that we can do with the page layout is controlling the related list. What is a related list? List of the child records. Like consultant has project under it. Okay. So you have the option of removing the related list, or you have the option of, bringing in some more related list here. So if you go to related list, you will see that there are a few more like notes and attachments. If you want to see this, approval history, if you want to see this. So whatever you want to see, you can actually bring in here. All right. and then make changes to the page layout. So your page layout can be used for setting the position of the fields, which field appears at the top and the right and the left hand side, which all fields should be visible on the page layout, which all fields should be made required. I made the mobile field required, right? If you go ahead and see it now, see, this mobile field has become a required field. Correct. So this is how it works. This is how the page layout thing works. All right. Let me know if there is a question or doubt here.
So when you were telling about page layout, there is one more thing, new assignment. What is that new assignment on page layout?
New assignment.
Yeah. When you were editing the page layout, there was one tab,
That
new
assignment
assignment.
is, I think, an object here, custom object.
Uh, consultant. On the next page, when you click the consultant. Mm, yes, here down. Page layout assignment.
Oh, page layout assignment. Okay, okay. That's different. That's different. That we will talk about. That I'll come into. Okay, so far we are clear what we are doing with page layout. Okay, there is one
Okay.
more small concept which
And what is
I
buttons? So we did with everything with fields. So what is this buttons?
these are the buttons which you can actually include in this page layout. All right, like edit, delete, clone button. In case you do not want any of the buttons or you want the buttons to be displayed. All right. And if you create
Okay.
any of your custom buttons, so custom button is something again that we do a little later. We don't create it now, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay. So the next concept that I'm going to talk about is the required field concept. Acha, what is the required field concept? Required field, you must have seen while you create a field, you have an option of creating the, making the field required. Correct? Remember, while we create the field at that time, we have an option of making the field required. You have seen that? Yes. Okay. And now we see that there is another option of making a field required through the page layout. So there are two ways in which a field can be made required. One is while creating the field, the other option is while we are doing it while we are on the page layout, through the page layout. Now you just need to tell me one small thing. Do you feel there will be any difference between these two approaches if I make a field required while creating the field and if I make a field required on the page layout? Functionally, will there be any difference or you feel that both of them will, work exactly the same way? Got my question? So while you create the fields at that time, you must have seen there is an option of making the field required. Now, while we are on the page layout, we have an option of making the field required. Now, do you feel that there is an option of, do you feel that there is a difference in both these options? Just think logically and tell me. What do you feel? Are these different or the same thing or how is it?
Maybe Jeet,
Hmm.
if it is once we are making the field required through the page layout,
Hmm.
maybe the for the records which I already been entered earlier,
Hmm.
would those field be shown as or record, or would that be a difference?
So you feel there is a difference?
I mean, that is some possibility I can think of. I'm not very sure.
Yes,
Okay.
Not
Yeah.
very sure though. Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else? Any
yes, there
ideas?
is difference.
There is difference. What is
Yes,
the difference?
there is. Yes,
Yeah.
because while when we create a field, so Salesforce automatically create like name field, some field required. So that's the minimum requirement of creating the field. And page layout, it depends upon user interface, like some user want this thing to be required, like some company want ID to be required or email to be required. That's upon the user, or while creating the field, that's the requirement, that's one or two fields should be required. That's what I think.
Okay. Anyone else? Yeah. I think Ajinkya was saying something.
Yeah, I believe there will be no difference between like while creating the field and through page layout because
Okay.
like yeah, like I'm just guessing it, but let's
Okay.
see.
Fine. So good. I just wanted you guys to actually start thinking in these lines. Now there is a difference. What is the difference? Um, Before I tell you the difference, let me tell you. When you make a field required while creating the field, it is called universally required. Okay. And when you make a field required through the page layout, it is called required on page layout. Okay. So any field which is made required through the page layout is called required on page layout, and any field which is made required while creation of the field, when you select that checkbox, required checkbox, that field is called universally required, or it rather becomes universally required. Now, does that give you some hint on what exactly the difference can be? Now, reading this universally required and required on page layout, does that give us some hint? What can be the difference?
Universally required means required for everyone, and required on page layout means required for some particular user who wants this for the field we did
Yes,
required. So for a
yes,
particular user.
right. Yes, not for a particular user, for a particular page layout. Yes.
For
So
particular.
universally required means required everywhere. So there is no way you can skip that field's data. Got it? So that field has to have data in order to create a record. Okay, so if I make a field universally required, I cannot have a record entered into the system from any means without putting some value into that particular field. Okay, so that's universally required. So no matter you are entering the data manually or you are doing it through the data upload, through, using the data loader, whatever, universally required field will always be required. The problem with this required on page layout is this will only be required when you are entering the data through this page layout. Which means if I have made a field required on the page layout and I'm trying to enter the data from the data loader, that data will get entered even if the value is not provided. Because data loader is not going through the page layout, right? So backend upload will happen. Moreover, if you have multiple page layouts, we do have an option of having multiple page layouts, different page layouts for different profiles. If you have multiple page layouts and if you have, let's say, for the page layout concept, if you have three page layouts, let's say P1 for system admin, P2 for sales profile, P3 for customer support. Right. If you have these page layouts for different profiles, or different page layouts for different profiles, the first P1 sorry, and if you make some field required on the first profile, make a field required on this page layout, will not be required on these two page layouts. That will only be required on this page layout, which means only when someone is using this page layout, which means people from this profile will need to fill in the information for this page layout as a mandatory thing. These people will have an option whether they want to fill or not. Got it? So while I'm making a field required on the page layout, I'm restricting it only to that page layout, to the limitations of that page layout. But if I'm making a field required on, I'm making a field required on the, what is that thing? While creating the field, or while I'm making a field universally required, it is required everywhere. Got it?
Jeet, are we speaking about the same field in the second page layout, making a particular field for all the three?
No, sorry, I did not get your question.
No, I got like universally required is when we are creating a field. Once we make the field required, all the users who are assigned, that profile should enter a value there in universally required. But on the other side, in the page
No,
layout, the
universally
field.
required, where did the profile thing come? Universally is required for everyone everywhere. Where is the question of
Okay,
profile there?
okay. In page layout, you were saying there will be a. I mean, is it a single field we are speaking about? I don't know, which is making it required for all the page layouts P1, P2, and P3.
Single field, which field? Okay, let me explain it this
Can you
way.
repeat the question, please?
Okay,
Yeah, Vipul.
let me just try and explain with an example. Email, okay? You have a field, email field, okay? If you make this email field as universally required, then it will be required everywhere, no matter how you are entering the data. All right. If you make this field required on a page layout, then it will only be required if you are entering the data from that page layout. Which means if you make it required, universally required is clear. Okay, let me just ask you this. Universally required is clear, right? Is there a doubt on that?
No, it's clear.
Universally required, you understand the meaning of universal, right? So universally, no matter from where you are entering the data, you do not have, from the front door, back door, from the terrace, no matter from where you are entering, the field is required. All right. This is like the page layout. In this page layout, what you are doing, you are just putting that required option on a certain page layout. Let's say you put it on P1. Then let's say P1 is the page layout which you use. Manjit uses this. P2 is the page layout which is available to me. Okay. And the page email field has been made required on this page layout. Then what will happen when you try to enter, because you are using P1, the field will be required. But when I try to enter, then it will not be required because it is not made required on my page layout. Correct? Does that make things simpler?
Jeet, I have a question.
Hmm.
So, when we make universally required while
Before that, one
creating
second.
the
Before that, Vipula, let me just get an answer from Manjit because I don't want him to get confused with your question again. Yeah, Manjit,
okay.
are you clear on that?
Yeah, yeah, for me it is very much clear, Ajit. Thanks. Yeah.
Clear? Okay, fine. Yeah, Vipula, now you go ahead.
So you are saying that when I'm creating the field, I
Hmm.
made it universally required. So Manjeet, P1 and P2 both need to enter the data in that field, right? Say email. So email is both required for P1 and P2 because it's universally required, right?
Right.
And when I made a page layout for P1, I made it required for Manjeet. So I'm not getting. So I made the, so does the page layout like in universally required is required for P1 and P2 both. So what page layout is doing different? How it make P1 feel required for page layout? Are you getting my question?
Okay. So universally required you have understood, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Required on the page layout you have understood.
या बट दोनों कंफ्यूजिंग है
Okay.
P1 और P2 को दोनों यूनिवर्सली वी मेड इट यूनिवर्सली रिक्वायर्ड
P1
तो
and
जब
P2 are page
यूनिवर्सली
layouts and you have, okay, let me put it this way. P1 and P2 are page layouts and they are not the fields. So you're not making P1 and P2 universally required. What is being made required? Is it the field or is it the page layout?
ओके
I mean, Ajit, I believe, I mean, is it that we will create two page layouts for the same object where for
Yes,
Manjit email will be made required and for Jeet email won't be made required,
right.
and that particular page layout will be mapped to that user. That is one to Manjit and P2 to Jeet. Is it that way?
Yes, correct.
Okay, okay,
That's
all
the
right.
concept. So if I have multiple page layouts and out of those page layouts, if I have multiple page layouts, let's say my sales team wants to see the data in a certain way. So I've created a P1, P2, P. Let's remove this thing. Let's say sales. For sales team, I've created a layout. For my support team, I have created a page layout. Okay, sales team says that I want some information on the top, and support team says that we want some other information on the top. Okay, I've created two different page layouts. That makes sense, right? Now there
यस
is this phone field which is required only on this. So when a sales team person is entering the data, I want the phone field to be required. I want the support team also to enter the phone details, but it is not required there. Okay, so here the requirement for me is basically to make the field required for some people and not required for some people. Then you will go ahead and define it on the page layout. But if the company said that no, phone has to be required no matter who is entering from where the data is coming, then you go ahead and make the phone field as universally required. Got the concept?
ओके
Does
ओके
that make things
ओके
simpler?
यस
So you know
And
the
this,
way we
यस
sorry.
yeah, and all these different page layouts would be for the a same object, right?
Yeah, definitely. We're
Okay,
talking about the same object here.
all right, all right.
Like,
Yeah, Jeet.
hmm,
Yeah, so at this time, when it is like universally required, even then a support team will have the option of not entering the phone number, right?
no,
Because in page layout it's like it's not required. So
no. That's again the wrong thing. If it is universally required, then no matter what you have, there is no point. So something which is universally required will be by default required on the page layout.
okay,
Fine.
universally required. Then like okay, then what's the difference for then for the page layout then? Because as it is, so if I'm doing a universal thing, then no matter even though support team does a page layout, it won't work, right?
Okay. Fine. So that's what I was trying to tell you, that don't think about it from this point of view that you will need to make something required and then go and revoke the permission from support team. If it is not required for everyone, you don't need to make it universally required.
Okay.
If there is something
Okay.
that everyone should not do, then okay. If I give you let's say $100, and I tell you that just give it to two people, only two people need this $100. What are you going to do? You will just go and give it to two people, or you will give it to, and you have let's say 10 people. Out of 10, I tell you that give it to two people. So are you going to give it to all 10 of them and then go and take it back from eight of them? Is that what we are going to do? No, right? We'll just give it to two people, right? So if some field is not required for everyone, why should I make it universally required and then go and control the permission? So there is no scope for that. If it is not universally required, then for whom it's required? Your question should be not required for everyone, then required for whom? For sales team. Okay, let me just go and make it required for sales team. Don't make it universally required. Universally required means it will be required for everyone, and after that you cannot control it. Got it?
Okay. Okay. Yeah,
More
I
like
got
our,
that.
acha, let's not talk about other example, then we will get confused. Now we are clear on this. I was actually going to give example of the sharing settings that we did yesterday. So something which is
Oh,
public to everyone, but forget about that. This is clear.
okay.
So
Yeah.
basically, while we are creating the field, we will get two types of requirement. Now, just coming back to this thing, uh, let's, pick a scenario. Okay. Let's say, you're creating an object. And I've told you, before you start creating the database into the Salesforce, you start deciding on the specifications and all. Let's say you're creating an object, name, email, phone. Okay. And here you will mention if some field is to be made required. Yes. So if let's say email field is required, the client says, I want this field to be required. Your question to the client should be that, do you want this field to be required for everyone? He says yes. Okay. Then you should make it required while creating the field. But if the client says that, hey, you know what, I want the email field to be required only by the sales team and not the customer support team, because customer support team is very busy and they will not be entering. So if that kind of a clause is there, then go and make it required on the page layout. Does that make sense? Think it from the requirement perspective, you will understand very clearly. Got it? Or if
Yes.
the sales team, if I'm creating the field at that time, it is told to me that if the data is being entered from the back end, if it is getting entered through the data loader, then blank values should be allowed. But if someone is manually entering, then it should be required. Then again, you cannot go with a universally required field, because universally required will be required both the ways, through the page layout as well as from the what is the other thing, from the data loader, right? So if you want some field to be required only if someone is manually entering the values, then go and put it in the page layout, not universally required. Clear?
Yes.
Okay, just give me one moment. Hello. Yep. I'm back. So this is how we actually do it. All right. Now creating multiple page layouts. For creating an extra page layout, you don't have to do anything. You can just go to the same setup, create objects, and go to that object where you want to create the page layout, consultant, and then create a new page layout. So currently there is one page layout which is available. I can create a new one. While you're creating the page layout, you again have to clone it from an existing one. Let's say this is the sales layout. Save it. Okay. So now I have two page layouts, and you can actually make changes on this as you want. Now because I have two page layout, I can have these two different page layouts available to different profiles. Okay. So for some profiles I can enable this page layout, for some profiles I can enable this page layout. How do I do that? You just need to go to page layout assignment. Okay. In the page layout assignment, you can click on edit assignment. Currently, if you see, for everyone, the consultant layout is enabled. If I want for sales profile, okay, for marketing user, I want to change this to the sales layout which I've created. I can enable that. For contract manager, I want to enable the sales layout. So you can actually go and change it for some profiles. Correct? So the reason for having multiple page layouts is different profiles and different users. So you cannot create a page layout for a certain user, but you can actually go ahead and create a page layout for a certain profile. Correct? So everyone in the profile will get to see the same page layout. Clear on this? How we are creating multiple page layouts and how we are assigning it to the profiles. So now,
Ajit, can you
mhm,
yeah, can you show it once more, please?
okay,
The multiple page layout.
yeah.
Thank you.
So you can just go to setup and go to create objects. Go to the object where you want to create the page layout. So every object has the option of page layout. You can just go there, scroll down, and then you can click on new if you want to create the page layout. Creating the page layout, you can clone it from an existing page layout. Support layout. Give it the name the way you want. That's it. Yes, done.
So like we have to go into the assignment.
Now to assign it to the profiles, which profile will see which page layout, you can again go to the same navigation and go to page layout assignment, and under page layout assignment you can actually go ahead and edit the assignment. Edit assignment,
Mm,
select
yeah.
the profile for which you want to change, and then just select the one from, like for identity user, select that profile and select the page layout that you want to put.
Okay. Yeah.
That's it, and finally save it. Clear? So we are creating page layouts. How and how are we assigning it to the profiles? These page layouts can be controlled for standard objects also. So for standard object, you have all the standard object listed under customize. You can go to customize, and whichever standard object you can go to that. For example, accounts, and under accounts you will have the option of page layouts. For standard objects, you have this option of page layouts. So in standard object, you will see by default there are multiple page layouts which are there. Okay, so they have by default created multiple page layouts and kept it like that. You still have option of creating more page layouts, or if you want, you can just manage with them. Or if you want, you can go and edit them. Got it? So that's how it works. Please let me know if you have any questions or doubts here related to the page layout. So we have talked about page layout in this way.
But
Yeah.
But is feed-based layout? This is feed-based layout. Is there anything check mark for that? Feed-based layout.
What is feed-based layout?
Modified by, yeah.
Mhm.
What does that mean?
Yeah, that's has got to be do with the chatter feed that you receive and all. So that's something which we will not look into right now. We'll talk about that maybe sometime later.
Okay.
Right. So we are just focusing on the things which are related to our custom objects and standard objects and fields. All right.
Okay.
So now we have seen how to create page layouts. How do we actually control the fields which should be displayed on the page layouts. The fields, how we can make them required. Controlling the related list on the page layouts. Creating page layouts and assigning the page layouts. All right. And we have also understood the difference between a universally required field and a field required on the page layout. So now we understand where we should be using the universally required field option versus making a field required on the page layout. All right. Okay. So that's it for today. Tomorrow, once we meet, we will start talking about reports. Yep. So tomorrow we are actually going to start talking about reports and dashboards. So I'll see you all tomorrow, same time. Thank you.